Everybody, welcome back to Iron Oak Sawmill. Beautiful fall day out here today. On the mill, we got some poplar logs. But what we're going to go over today is how we saw beams or posts and keep them straight. If you've run a sawmill at all, or if you're talking or thinking about it, this might help you out. When you cut thick wood on here, let's say we're going to go across and cut about a 4-inch piece off of this, it's not going to stay straight, especially with poplar. Well, most woods, when you cut a big, thick 4-inch slab off of there or something, it's gonna bow upwards. We'll show you that in the coming videos. It's natural stress in the log. It happens. The straighter, the clearer the log is, the better it will be, but it happens with most every one. So what we're going to go over is how we handle it and what we're talking about. We'll show you bits and pieces of what we're talking about, and hopefully we'll cover everything you need to know. And again, if there's any questions, put it down in the comments section. Glad to help out. But let's get started. Okay, as we started our first cut here, we've already leveled the pith. You do that by measuring up from the bed rails or bunks at each end of the log to make sure that distance is the same from the bed rail to the pith. And if you need to adjust that, in this case with the LT35, use the roller toe boards. If your machine doesn't have that, use some blocks, wedges, whatever you need. Also, on this first cut, what I'm going to look for as I slide this off is, in this case, can I get two pieces out widthwise, what I'm looking to cut in this case. 3.5 by 3.5 or 4x4s. Also, you're going to see us removing a lot of sawdust and making sure that that cut is clean, because we want to keep the sawdust, wood chips, bark, whatever, off of the bed rails or bunks of the mill. We want to make sure that we keep our dimensions correct and that we keep these posts as square as possible. Okay, as we proceed down this cut, you'll see the curve start to open up. What that is the stress in the log we've been talking about. As this end's bowing up on the top half of this cut, the bottom half of this log is also bowing downward on the ends. That will give you a curve in the other direction. If you were to look at the spacing under the center bed rails right now, it's probably opened up a 1/16 of an inch to an 1/8, where that bottom half is starting to bow up in the center. You'll see this start to drop at the other end as I exit the cut. There you go. And that's the stress we're talking about in the log. That's also where guys think, hey, my mill's cutting with a big dip in the middle. What's wrong with it? I've got to adjust it. The bed rails are off, and they'll start playing with stuff and adjusting things. You'll see how this piece pivots very easily. That's because of the curve it's created from the stress in the log. although less reactive. The top half of this log is still moving. The bottom half of this log is also lifting up off of the bed rails as well. Sorry I didn't get a shot of that, but I think by the time we were done we had nearly a 1/4 inch gap under the center of this lower half of the log. Okay, what I didn't see in the video here was when I released the clamp to flip this over, the center of the cant popped up off the deck, and showing again the stress in the log. Best way to get rid of that is close your clamp back up, take one thin cut to give it a nice clean flat surface before you flip it over. Okay, we already know that the bottom of this cant is curved upward. We've since flipped it over, and rather than trim that off, I'm just going to cut it in half here because I've got to trim down the excess off of these anyway. Our finish size is 3.5, and these blanks, I'll call them, are all cut at about 4 1/4. And as always, Deb's checking to make sure that this blank is square to the bed rails. That'll keep our post as square as possible. Nothing like a snap blade at full cut speed to rattle you. Oh, well, y'all heard that one. Now you can see this thing's completely off the blade guide. All the way back there. The second one out of the box, it broke. That was under full speed cut too. This has very few cuts on it. I think we cut maybe one log with this one. This is the second log with it. I'm running a debarker. There's no dirt in here. Band wheels are good. Band wheel bolts are good. They're not all crusted up with anything. Nice. I'm gonna see if we can get this out of here without cutting it. See if it broke on the weld.
Yep.
Where the heck does it go? It's, oh wow, it's all the way back there. Let me see if I can back it up. it backing up a little bit. Between the teeth, not on the teeth with my fingers.
Wow.
Open the door. That was laying like that. I thought maybe it flew off, but it didn't. This the broken blade grabbed it afterwards. Chewed it up a bit. I have another set.
Wow.
I actually have a couple sets, so that I've never seen before. Just, I'm amazed it hasn't taken out my drive belt yet. All right, let me get on the other side.
Oh boy.
It's not broken. Oh yeah, it is. And you see that? It's the second one out of this box, broke right on the weld again. Now, you know, I've never had this kind of trouble with Wood-Mizer blades. I've always talked highly about them. I don't know what's going on with this batch. I have a funny feeling this. Watch this, it's not controllable. Those things, let's see how this fan wheel did. No.
How is it?
Took a couple chunks out of that. There's a chunk missing. Yeah. Yeah, you can see there's some. There's another little one. The belt's in good shape, but, and I do check inside my band wheels to make sure there's no buildup of sawdust or anything in here. Pine sap, I don't have a cut pine lately. These are clean as a whistle. Sure, that one is too. So we're going to take off the belts and the blade and get a new one in here, new set in here. So you can see Wood-Mizer laser etches their blades. Hopefully it's not just reflecting back in your face here, but right there. Wood-Mizer and then the number on it. And this helps them with their quality control on the blades. Lets them know if they had a bad lot or bad steel or bad welder or what. But I'll go ahead and contact them, and they should replace the blade for nothing. Let's go ahead and get our belts replaced and get our new blade on there. All right, two brand new from Wood-Mizer B57CE belts. Some people say just use the Gates B57s or whatever's. Others say that these were designed for Wood-Mizer, just use these, so I'd stick with the Wood-Mizer ones. I already checked the back side of this to make sure there was no sawdust in it. Easy enough. Easy enough. I have an extra drive belt. I'm starting to show some wear.
All right.
This is the next one in the row. It's a 438. The other one was a 436, then 437. There's 438. Let's see what happens. blade and belt, so I got a bad tension. Yes, the tension was correct. And take a look at these next two cuts. You'll see just how much stress you can encounter in a log. I feel like I'm cutting runners for a rocking chair. Okay, what we'll do now that we've broken these down into blanks is we'll put the hump up, or the high side of each one of these up, two at a time, trim that off, flip it over, finish cut the other side at 3.5, and then repeat that for the third and fourth sides, and we'll have ourselves some nice straight 4x4s. what you can see here, down on this end, the beginning of the cut, helps prove just how far these things warped when we cut them. As you go down here, we put the high spot up. You see how wide they are now. They're 1/2 inch plus on here. This one's probably 5/8. I'm hoping they clean up on the other side. They should. I've got another 1/2 inch to take off. But follow this all the way down to this end. You can see again. Now they're 1/8 inch. We're basically down to nothing on this one. So let's flip them over and see if we can clean up the other side. And that's how we go about cutting nice straight posts and beams here on the Iron and Oak Sawmill. This should apply to any size post or beam. There are other methods where if you have smaller logs, you can do what they call box the heart, where you keep the pith centered in the beam or post itself. From what I've been told, this usually works for 8x8 and larger. Smaller than that, I've been told that there's too much checking and they split from the pith out to the edge. And that has been my experience when milling 6x6s, that they will check from the center out if you box the heart with those. Now let's go ahead and finish this log up with a little bit of high-speed sawing. Well, that'll wrap this one up at the Iron and Oak Sawmill. 25 4x4s for this one. And hopefully we had enough content in here to show you how to get these things straight. Probably do a voiceover on this one just so I can go into more detail rather than try to talk to you as I'm doing the measuring and the cutting. It's just much easier to do that way. But yep. Still got more to go. Like I said, we only got 25 out of there. Hey, what we have left to do yet is 2 tulip poplars, 2 ash, all about, and the smallest one's maybe 18-inch. Largest one here is 22 or 24-inch. Decent size. And as much as we cut tulip poplar, and we see how much it reacts when we cut it. The logs we cut today were amazing. They didn't hardly react at all in comparison to what we have done. But hopefully that was enough of a description to see. I mean, this would pertain to any kind of post or beam that you're cutting. In order to keep it straight, you have to cut it oversized, come back, trim it again to the finished size, but just leave just enough on to trim it off. You don't want to leave big chunks on there, because when you cut the big chunks off, it's going to bow again. So you just want to trim them down like that. It does create some waste, but somewhere along the line, you've got to get them to the right size. You can't just cut a 3.5-inch slab, turn it and cut 3.5 inches. You see what happens with it. It's going to warp. It's going to bow. But hopefully that was enough information for you to be able to do this for yourself. Like I said, it pertains to anything post beam, anything thick like that you need. That's probably the best way. Well, that's the best way I've found to do it. If you know another way, hey, put it down in the comment section. Let me know. Okay, really appreciate that. Sounds like the deer are moving down through the woods. I'll have to get some video of those guys sometimes. They come down pretty close to the lumber stacks back here. But hey, the LT35 did real well today, except for that one broken blade. I think they just had a couple of bad welds next to each other in the box. They were consecutive numbered blades, so I'm assuming that was the issue. This one ran fine. There was we made no changes other than I had to put new band wheel belts on because of the damage it did to those. But it performed great. We got those 2 logs cut up. We'll probably be able to be in this tulip poplar, get 2 more logs cut, and then I'll probably switch it out when we get to the ash. It's a little more, a little harder on blades, and it'll cut better if we do it that way. Deb and I would like to really thank you guys for coming out and supporting the channel week after week. We try to put a video out every week for everybody. Hopefully you're enjoying those and enjoying the content. If you have any suggestions or something you'd like to see here at the mill, let us know. Put it down in the comments section. Glad to help you out with that. Also, if you have any questions about any of the tools, any of the ways we're sawing, like we did today, or you know, how we're running the mill, put it down in the comment section. Also, we'll be glad to help you out with that. I'd like to thank everybody definitely for subscribing to the channel. 16, almost 17,000 subscribers, I think, at the time of this video was taken. If you haven't done so yet, go ahead and hit the subscribe button. It's down at the bottom of the screen or down below the video, wherever it may be at this point in time. And then hit the notification bell, and then click all, and you'll get a notification for all the videos we put out here on YouTube. And hey, while you're at it, smash the like button down there. It helps us support what we're doing here at the channel, helps us hopefully bring you better content, and hey, gives us encouragement to keep going. All right, I'd like to thank everybody for coming out, and we'll see you at our next time.